to another episode of Dear ABG, where we answer your listener submitted questions. If you don't know us, we are a podcast called Asian Boss Girl, a podcast for the modern day Asian American woman. My name is Mel.
I'm Helen.
And I'm Janet.
Before we get started with today's questions, we're gonna ask each other a fun question. Who was your celebrity crush growing up?
Ooh, celebrity crush.
I love this question.
I'm gonna say JTT.
Oh yeah, that was mine too.
Really?
I was afraid that it was going to be too old for you guys, but I guess we're only 2 years apart.
Sorry, let me say that again. JT.
JT
full stop.
Okay, I was going JTT.
No, you know what? I said JT and I was like, I feel like I should put another T in there.
I was like, Jonathan Thomas.
Yeah. But Justin Timberlake was, despite his Romney hair, he was for sure my like heartthrob, teenage heartthrob person. When he sang "God Must Have Spent a Little Bit More Time on You," like, dude, his voice is like butter, and I always felt like he was singing directly to you.
Yes. Yeah, well, mine was Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Okay.
He was on Home Improvement.
You watched Home Improvement?
Yeah. So he went from like being like preteen heartthrob, and then he like went into like full-on heartthrob, and he like went to Harvard. He's like a smart guy.
I didn't know that. I like Lance Bass.
I didn't mean for my face to change, but it did.
Okay, in elementary school, that's when NSYNC was pretty big. I feel like all the other girls like JC or Justin, so I had to claim someone. So I claimed. I claimed Lance. I thought he was like kind of cute, and like there's this guy in my class that kind of looked like him, like the Filipino version. So I thought he was cute because he was like Lance Bass, and so. But you know, Lance Bass doesn't swing my way now. But you know,
right. So my other ones were Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell.
Yes.
I don't know his real name. And Sean from Boy Meets World.
All these.
Oh my God! How can we forget about Boy Meets World?
Like, hello.
Yeah,
but I will say that these are all like white boys, and there was clearly not enough diversity in television in the 2000s.
I don't know if you guys watched the movie Casper.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I was like, I see Mel's face like the ghost crickets. Yeah.
I know Casper.
So Devin Sawa was like, he's another person from their time. He's like really old now. Sorry, not being ageist or anything, but like, yeah. So he was another heartthrob during that kind of like era.
I did like a lot of Taiwanese pop music. So I used to have there's this one like small Taiwanese pop group called K1, and there's this guy named JR. He's still pretty active in Taiwan. I would have notebooks filled with like his name written out. He didn't know who I was, but I would watch all the Chinese shows with him on. I didn't understand what they were saying, but I really liked him.
Oh, maybe he's watching right now.
Hi.
Hi, JR.
Yeah, I think he has a kid now, but what's up?
Hi, JR and your kid.
Hi.
All right, so the first question comes in from someone who prefers to remain anonymous. She is from the Bay Area. Her question is, hi ABG ladies, I love your podcast and the Dear ABG segment. Woot woot. Do you have any advice about leaving your first job while maintaining good relationships with your coworkers or boss? I would really appreciate any advice you all have about navigating this situation. Thank you, with a smiley face.
This is a great question. I actually was just having a conversation with a good friend who's not leaving her first job, but leaving her like 5th or 6th job.
Oh, wow.
So there's certain kind of protocols that you want to maintain throughout your career. So this is a very good question, because I think coming out of college, if it's your first job, it feels a little scary. Like it feels like this is the first relationship you kind of developed post school, right? And I think a lot of people feel it's hard to separate the personal from the professional, because you probably have like a manager or a person that you've been working with, and you feel like there's almost like, I don't want to insult them if I leave, right? But I think it's very important to know how to distinguish your career from personal. Make sure you follow the protocol to respect them professionally, which means you give them at least 2 weeks notice. Probably best to have a private conversation with your manager first, and then send in a formal resignation through an email. I think a lot of people feel bad or guilty about leaving. Your manager or your company will understand that people do move around, right? So I think as long as you think about it in the perspective of like, if you're moving to a different opportunity to learn something different or to grow, if your manager was switched from you, like she would probably want that same kind of like blessing, right? So I would think about it that way. Don't feel too bad. Know how to kind of be confident in your decision. Express to them, give them enough time to plan, but you know, be confident. There's no need to feel guilty or bad.
Janet said everything I was gonna say. No.
All right, so I think that.
No. So funny thing, yesterday my brother actually called me. He's like, Melody, can we talk about something? So he's actually leaving his first job, and he asked me, what are the steps I need to take to make sure, like exactly your question. And I said what Janet said. You know, it's out of respect that you give your current company 2 weeks, because they need to transition you out of the role and have ample time to start looking for someone else to fill your role. So besides putting in your 2 weeks, setting your private time with your manager to talk, I sent before I left, like the few days prior, I sent like a giant email to my team saying, thank you so much for, the opportunity to work with you all. And here's my personal email if you guys want to reach me. I'd love to connect after this. And on top of that, I do have a really close relationships with my past managers at my last company. So I wrote a handwritten card to my managers that really influenced me, and I left them on their desk. And so that was like the personal touch I added with my team. So if that's something you feel really inclined to do, I would recommend that as well. I don't know if you're comfortable, but I'm also friends with all my managers and my past team on Instagram because that's my way to stay updated with them. I did work in a creative social environment where that was very the norm, but I think that was a way for us to be, update on each other's lives. So whatever you feel comfortable with, whether it's a card or, social media or email, there's always a way we can stay connected.
Yeah, LinkedIn was a good one for me when I left. If it's not Instagram, LinkedIn, some other social network is a great way to maintain contact with them.
All great points, ladies. All points that I completely agree with. For me, actually, because I had been in my job for almost 10 years, I actually gave them a month notice because I think it does take a little bit more time to replace someone that has been there for such a long period of time. So keep that in mind too. 2 weeks is like the bare minimum. I would also say that if you had any negative experiences, the last day is probably not when you should bring it up. You should probably bring up anything that is negative about the experience, whether it's a bad boss or people not respecting your boundaries, before you decide to leave so that they can know to change their habits and accommodate to you. But if you're in a position where you hadn't explained it, I would say give them a compliment sandwich. Say all the good things and then all the, some of the bad in between, just let them know something that they could do better so that someone coming after you won't have as maybe bad of an experience as you did. But sandwich it with good things. Love the people, love the culture, but this little one.
You also then follow up with HR, and that usually is a good opportunity to share anything about the culture or stuff that they can change. Because if you share with your manager, it might affect your direct relationship.
Yes.
You share with HR, it's like a unbiased third party.
Yes, very good point, very good point. I would also say that on your last day, like Mel was saying, leave notes for the people that really made an impact on your career. For me, I set one-on-one meetings with people that I really wanted to just thank for guiding me throughout my career, for really supporting me, and I think that leaves a really good lasting impression when you do that, instead of just leaving bye, all right, I'm out, here's my email. Even if it's uncomfortable, spend that time to have that one-on-one. It does make a very long-lasting impact on your future relationship with people. Bring donuts maybe on the Friday before, bring bagels. Yeah, so that you're leaving a good taste literally in people's mouths.
That's a good note.
Yeah. But these are just some suggestions, and best of luck to you as you are making this huge transition in your life, and props to you for making this decision because we know that it's very hard to do.
Our next question comes from Sukie from Toronto. Sukie asks, how did therapy help you rise up and change your perspective in any aspect of your life? Since all of you wonderful ladies always mention therapy in your episodes.
I could list so many things of why therapy has benefited me. The first thing I would say is that I feel like I've better understood what anxiety actually is for me through therapy. My therapist explained to me what happens mentally and physically when you're going through a panic attack or anxiety, and for me, understanding the body and the physiology of it, it just kind of made more sense for me, and she gave me tangible things I can do when I'm feeling anxious, like breathing. Why does breathing help you with anxiety? So knowing the why has really helped me reshape and understand my relationship with anxiety and what I can do to kind of better it and manage the relationship. I think for me, therapy also helped me regain my confidence and self-esteem by providing me really good tangible activities I can do on the side to help build up my self-confidence and self-love again. And so for me, it's going to someone who has specialties to help you build up your confidence. So I think for me, that's just the biggest thing is anxiety, helping with anxiety and building up confidence. I love therapy.
I think I've always been someone that was closed off about my feelings, even towards my friends, because I always felt like it was a burden to put my feelings on other people. That was a huge part of it. But I think a lot of it was also because I didn't think that my feelings were worthy enough of being shared, or it didn't really matter as much as maybe someone else's feelings. So I always internalized a lot of my feelings. And separate from that, I felt like I had a good amount of control over my life. Whether it's, I had a good job, good family, non-toxic relationships, high functioning, high achieving, And from the outside, it's like, okay, nothing's wrong with me. You know, I'm able to be very active in my life and in my decision making, and I felt like I had good control of my life, and it just didn't make sense for me to go to therapy just on the surface level. But I think something that I've learned is that I am a perfectionist to a certain degree, and a lot of how that comes out in life can be very toxic. And on the outside, as confident as I seemed, on the inside, I was dealing with a lot of low self-worth and a lot of negative self-talk. And that is something that you don't see on the outside, and it doesn't really translate into your work either, and how you can be high functioning. So once I started to realize that about myself, I did put myself through therapy, and I will say that it was like the best thing that I could have done for myself in my 20s. And yeah, I wish I could have gone even earlier. I wish this was a more normalized thing, therapy. And I think going into therapy, I was like, okay, no one's gonna be able to help me. I've, journaled, I've been able to write things out, been able to have, conversations with like my boyfriends and have, really deep conversations. I'm like, I don't think a stranger is gonna be able to help me. And the most fascinating thing to me about therapy is that your brain, you think that you are stuck thinking a certain way for the rest of your life because you know yourself very well. But what surprised me the most is that my brain has rewired itself to almost be like a different brain. Like that is the part that I'm like, this is so cool. Like therapy is so cool, because now I don't have that like negative self-talk. I don't envision like a lot of negativity anymore. And I never thought that I would get to this place. And I think it also allowed me to be kind to myself and to allow myself freedom from myself, which is like really weird to think about. But at the same time, how I am to myself is how I am to other people. So because I'm kinder to myself, I can be kinder to other people as well. And that's a huge thing that I learned from therapy. And there is such a range also. You don't have to have like extreme anxiety, extreme depression, extreme whatever to go to therapy. If you just want to talk to someone neutral, that is great. And I think anyone can get so much out of a conversation like that. And everyone is allowed to go to therapy, and I would highly encourage it.
I think oftentimes, especially coming from an Asian cultural background, we think about the term mental health when we think about therapy, and you view it as if something is wrong with you, that you have some form of illness, right? Which there's varying levels of like mental health, right? But I think when it comes to talk therapy, a lot of it comes down to, if you have any type of struggles, you have an unbiased third party and someone who has studied psychology, studied thought patterns, and probably worked with a lot of other clients who have, out of all the clients they work with, someone has probably had something similar to what you're struggling with. So I almost see it as like going to a really informed older sibling for advice sometimes. My relationship with therapy, I would kind of put it in two different categories. The one category is I have found therapy helpful for periods in my life where I've gone through a lot of change and has caused me a lot of stress, and I felt like there were behavioral changes that I was trying to deal with, right? So I went through periods of depression, I went through periods of high anxiety, and going to therapy helped me manage those, right? The second round though is, by going to therapy for those like surface things, I started to dig deeper into understanding why I might have been responding with those behaviors. And that's where it got down to deeper thought patterns. And then the deeper thought patterns got down to different ways, experiences that I had in my childhood, or like ways that are maybe like culturally or in my family or whatever it was, right? And I think everybody, if you are like 20 to 30 years old, think about it. That's so many years of life and experience that you've had to teach you that the world works a certain way, to teach you certain coping mechanisms that could be healthy in some respects and some that maybe don't serve you so well. So my second kind of like benefit that I've gotten from therapy is just better like self-knowledge. So I'd say if you're in one of those two camps, you might be going through a really hard time, and the hard time can be very maybe dealing with grief of the passing of someone, maybe you're dealing with like transitions in work, maybe you've moved to a new city and you're struggling with managing relationships, whatever it is, therapy can help on a surface level or like more tangible behavior changes. And then it can help on a deeper level if you're like, I don't know why I keep seeing the same pattern happen in my life, and I want to dig deeper and understand and really deeply shift, how I look at things and how I think.
Thank you, Sukie, for that question. We get asked a lot about mental health and therapy, and we want to thank BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. If you feel like there's something blocking your ability to be happy or preventing you from reaching your goals, seeking online therapy can help. I mentioned how last year I lost a lot of motivation due to my drop in self-confidence, and I really turned to BetterHelp during this time, and my counselor has helped me tremendously with providing great tips for self-love.
Like Mel, I also use BetterHelp. They will assess your needs and match you with a therapist, and you can start chatting with your therapist within 48 hours. It's not a crisis line, it's not self-help, it's professional counseling done securely online. There's a range of over 15,000 counselors for you to choose from, and it's pretty easy and free to change your counselor. I have done it a couple times myself.
So BetterHelp is available for clients worldwide, and it's super easy to use. You can log into your account at any time and reach your counselors for those moments you need that extra help. My counselor always responds in a timely manner, and the option to select a video or phone call for appointments makes seeing a counselor so easy.
Like Mel and Janet, I'm a huge advocate for seeking therapy, and BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches. It's also more affordable than traditional offline counseling, and financial aid is available. BetterHelp wants you to start living a happier life today. Visit betterhelp.com/AsianBossGirl. That's better, H-E-L-P, and join over 1 million people taking charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional. We have a special offer just for our ABG YouTube subscribers. You'll get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/AsianBossGirl. And that wraps today's episode of Dear ABG. Thank you everyone for tuning in today, and for those who wrote in questions to us as well. If you have a question you'd like to ask us, anything you'd like our advice on, you can write into us or leave us a voicemail. Check out our Instagram, link in bio.
And if you haven't already, check out our most recent episode. We are a podcast, Asian Boss Girl. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of the podcasting platforms. And we'll catch you on the next video. Yeah, see you soon.
Bye.
My name is Mel.
Our next question comes from...
Sorry. So I
I keep looking at like, how do you not have a mustache?